What's going on, Port fans? Welcome back to another video on my channel, and today we're going to be previewing Port Adelaide's round 3 clash against the Brisbane Lions this Saturday night at the GABBA. It's going to be a very interesting clash, especially with the two teams being 2-0 heading into this game. So without further ado, let's have a look and see what these teams are going to bring this weekend and how the result will pan out.
The clock starts rolling. The Lions need a goal to steal an epic win. It rolls out to Cutler. Did he have it? Martin's got it, tries to bend it. Dougal Howard saves the day, and Port Adelaide win an absolute thriller. Heartbreaking for the Lions, and a heart stopper for the crowd.
So as I said from the top, Port Adelaide and Brisbane are both 2-0 for the start of this 2019 season, and especially Brisbane, who have defeated the reigning premiers by over 40 points in round 1 and then backing it up at Marvel Stadium against North Melbourne. So two tasks that definitely aren't the easiest to choose from. So definitely what I'm thinking here is Brisbane are very much a top 8 side at the moment. They are showing a lot of promising signs for their fans, and they're just delivering good football to watch. And that's something that we, as neutral fans in particular, can't ask enough of. And then for teams like Port Adelaide, who are basically, sort of not rebuilding but redeveloping some young players, trying to find the right mix and get back into the finals race once again after a dismal 2018. So this game is set up to be a very interesting game, especially with Brisbane, who have a very exciting mix of players, both young and old, in the midfield. That one in particular that I'm talking about is Lachie Neale. He's come over from Fremantle to basically rebuild Brisbane's midfield with Dane Beams leaving, but they've discovered a couple of really good looking youngsters in there that are really developing as, they're not necessarily first year players as well. They've got the likes of Berry, they've got McGluggage in there, and then obviously the experienced heads of Zorko and Mitch Robinson as well, who's flying about as well. And it's a mix that you might on paper think, okay, they're not the greatest names to look at, but they are performing so well at the moment, and especially with Brisbane, who are averaging over 100 points a game. With the ruckman of Martin, they're definitely going to be something of an unknown. They'll definitely hit their form patches throughout the year, but to start off the way they have, with a very impressive win, more so against the West Coast Eagles, I think Port Adelaide are going to have their work cut out this weekend. Especially at the GABBA as well. They bet the reigning premiers up there quite convincingly. They're always a tough task to play against up at the GABBA. There's no stat that says we're very much dominant. I think the last time we played up there was 2017. The last 2 times we have played up there, we've smashed Brisbane quite convincingly. But in saying that, there was that upset victory in 2015, which I think a lot of the playing group who were there at the moment, they'd still be having that in the back of their mind. So it's definitely a tough task to go up to the fortress that is the GABBA. The conditions are going to be very similar to what they were on the weekend. Brisbane could have, a 30-degree day. They could have it raining and humid, but at night, it doesn't matter what the conditions are. They're definitely going to be a bit dewy. It's going to be a bit slippery. The players are going to have a lot of sweat on them. And that's going to really affect the ball use and the conditions throughout the night, and it will get considerably worse. It's just a matter of being smart with your decision making. It'll be like playing wet weather footy, but in particular, it's going to be about using the best possible option without trying to play that clean style of footy that you never really want to play in the wet. And sometimes teams do get caught out, because it might be a mild night, it's going to be considerably good conditions in the day, so they're thinking, great, dry weather footy, we'll play our fast and quick game that we've developed. But unfortunately, it doesn't turn out that way, so that's something you've got to watch, especially at the GABBA. Some interesting notes to pinpoint from Port Adelaide's perspective coming into this game. They own the inside 50 marks this year. They have, they're number 1 in the league, I think with 14, if I saw correctly. We're averaging 14. So that's a big jump from what was last year, one of our more disappointing stats. So especially with the likes of Westhoff, you've got Marshall down there as well, can take a good mark. You can take Paddy Ryder down there as well, maybe Lysette going through there. it's definitely an interesting concept. Definitely a big turnaround, that's for sure. The other thing is we have absolutely dominated teams with possession, especially uncontested possessions. Both games we've won it by a 93 possession margin, and both games over 400 possessions. So, we definitely know how to get the footy. It's just how we use it. And on the weekend it was a little bit less, but understood with the conditions. Whereas in Melbourne, we used the footy so well. It was great, clean footy and fast. With both games, it did show a lot of glimpses of that, which is very impressive to see from Port Adelaide. But Brisbane do the same thing. They are a lot more prone to turning the ball over as they move the ball up the ground, especially with their transition coming out of half-back. In saying that, though, once they get on a roll, there's no catching Brisbane, averaging 100 points in both games so far. The duo that is going to be one to watch for the night is Lysette versus Martin, and also Paddy Ryder in the mix as well. Last time Martin played Port Adelaide, back in Adelaide last year, best of ground, was absolutely phenomenal. We didn't have a ruckman that day, and it certainly showed with the result only being within a goal. So I think with Lysette and Ryder now both in the side, they're going to be definitely a more competitive competition in the middle. Whether that affects the result or not, it definitely will have a big impact. But in saying that, how much have Brisbane improved from last year to this year? Well, considerably, but it remains to be unknown when playing Port Adelaide. Tom Rockliff travels up to Brisbane for the first time since moving from the club in 2018. It's going to be a very interesting affair for him against his old teammates. And look for him, he's had a phenomenal start to the year. The first two games, he's got over, I think, 40 possessions in the first game, and then 37 to back it up in the second game, where now he's coming into Brisbane against his old side. Mitch Robinson is going to be on him, no question about that. He's going to be tagged, so that remains to be seen who will lift Rockliff's weight. So you'll definitely see Boak in there. You'll see Ollie Wines come back this week as well, which I'll get to in a second. But yeah, with Tom Rockliff against his old side, be a very interesting encounter, that's for sure. Does the pig finally get off the chain again? All right, now selection. For me personally, Watts and Amon look to be, well, they're definitely not going to be playing. Amon's out for 6 weeks with a knee injury, and obviously Watts had basically a broken everything in his ankle and his leg, so he won't be playing this week. Ollie Wines looks like a definite starter this weekend, so there's your one change. I don't know about Hamish Hartlett. Has had a very, mediocre couple of games in the SANFL. Maybe he'll like a couple more in there to just find that form a bit. And also, I heard that he had a little bit of a hamstring issue at training the other day, so that could open the door for Jack Trencove, who had a fantastic game in the SANFL on Friday night against West Adelaide, having 44 disposals. Broadbent could come in as well. So some options there for Port. One last thought before I give you my prediction. This game will be quick. Simple as that. This game could hit over 120 points for each side if both teams go on a roll. You could see margins of 30, 35 points at one stage for both teams, but they're both going to come back at each other. And as long as Port Adelaide take the fight to Brisbane, play at their game, play at their pace, then I think Port Adelaide will run away with it a bit. And I think they'll win by 18 points. But again, anything could happen. It's the GABBA. It's Brisbane. They seem to be a very quality team this year. And you know what? I like Brisbane. But I like Port Adelaide more. So I think they'll win by 18 points. And you might see, finally, Robbie Gray get off the chain. He hasn't had a chance yet. He's only kicked the 2 goals for the year. So it'll be interesting to see how he goes up there. But it'll be a very interesting game nonetheless. Well, Port fans, that wraps up this round 3 preview of Port Adelaide versus Brisbane. It's going to be a very interesting game, as I said, up there. So hopefully we get the job done. Go 3-0 for the second time in 2 seasons, and hopefully continue this good little patch we're having at the moment with a young side, with the kids playing so well. yeah, I think they're going to come out firing on the weekend. I look forward to it. Thanks so much for watching, Port fans. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're new for plenty more Port Adelaide content coming your way every week, every round of the AFL season and in the off season as well. My name's Anthony, Port fans, and as always, come the pair.